This is Mental Forge, where weakness burns and warriors are built. There is a moment in life when the way you think about money changes forever. For most, it happens slowly, like dawn creeping over a dark horizon. For a rare few, it happens in an instant, a flash of understanding so powerful it feels as if the world has split open and revealed its inner workings. I want to take you to one of those moments, because if you can feel it, if you can see it in your mind, then by the end of our time together, you will never see money the same way again. Picture this. It is the late 1800s. A young man named Andrew Carnegie stands on the factory floor, his shirt drenched with sweat, the clang of metal ringing in his ears. He is not yet the steel magnate history will remember. He is still a worker, but he is also something else, an observer. He watches the owner walk through the factory, noticing how this man's presence bends the attention of every worker, how decisions ripple outward like waves from a single drop of water. Carnegie realizes something. The man who owns the factory is not here to work harder than everyone else. He is here to think differently than everyone else. In that moment, young Andrew begins to understand that money is not earned through labor alone. It is multiplied through vision, strategy, and control of resources. This is the first secret of the top 1%. They do not think about money as something you trade hours for. They think of it as something that grows from ideas, networks, and systems. While the majority ask, "How much can I earn for this hour of my time?" The wealthy ask, "How can I create something that earns while I sleep?" We are going to break this open today piece by piece, until you not only understand how the top 1% think about money, but you start thinking that way yourself. This is not about tricks or hacks. This is about rewiring the very operating system of your mind. You will see how wealth is built in the mind before it is ever built in a bank account. The first shift is this: money is a byproduct of value creation. Not luck, not exploitation, not mere labor value creation. When you deeply understand that the money in your life is a reflection of the problems you solve, the quality of your solutions, and the number of people you impact, you stop chasing money and start chasing mastery. The top 1% wake up each day with one question: how can I create, multiply, and deliver value in a way that no one else can? And this is where history repeats itself across every generation. John D. Rockefeller did not simply sell oil. He built an empire by making oil more reliable, more transportable, and more affordable than his competitors. Steve Jobs did not just sell computers. He reimagined how humans interacted with technology. Elon Musk does not just build cars. He builds visions of the future and pulls the market toward them. Now, you might be thinking, "That's great for them, but I'm not a Rockefeller or a Jobs or a Musk." That's where the second secret comes in. The wealthy do not start wealthy. They start with a decision to become the kind of person who thinks in terms of assets, leverage, and long-term strategy. I want you to imagine something right now. Imagine a version of yourself, 5 years from today, looking back on this very moment. What if this was the day you decided to stop thinking about money like the masses and start thinking about it like the masters? What would that version of you thank you for? Close your eyes for a moment, not if you're driving, of course, and picture this version of yourself. See where you live. Feel the calm in your mind because you know that your finances are not just surviving, they are thriving. Picture the things you have built, the impact you have made, the freedom you have earned. That image is not fantasy. It is a preview of a reality you can create if you start thinking differently. Starting now. Here is where modern science meets ancient wisdom. Neuroscience tells us that the brain is plastic. It rewires based on repetition and focus. Spiritual traditions tell us that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The top 1% combine these truths. They use disciplined focus and repeated vision to reprogram their subconscious mind until wealth building becomes second nature. One of the most powerful exercises you can begin today is the Wealth Identity Journal. Every morning, write down 3 sentences that begin with, "I am the kind of person who," and finish them with traits of someone who builds wealth. For example, I am the kind of person who makes decisions quickly and wisely. I am the kind of person who multiplies value for others. I am the kind of person who invests in assets, not liabilities. By writing and repeating these, you are telling your subconscious who you are becoming. If you are finding this valuable, make sure you are subscribed so you never miss these deep dives into success and wealth psychology. The small act of subscribing could be the turning point where your learning compounds into mastery. In the next part, we are going to peel back another layer: the mental traps that keep the 99% locked in financial mediocrity, and how the top 1% sidestep them completely. We will also dive into the story of a man who went from being a broke schoolteacher to building a multi-million-dollar fortune without winning the lottery or inheriting a cent, simply by shifting his mindset and actions. There is a dangerous myth most people carry in their minds like a quiet virus. It whispers, if I just work hard enough, if I keep my head down, eventually I'll be rewarded. But the truth is, the marketplace does not pay you for effort alone. It pays you for results, and results are magnified not by how much you sweat, but by how strategically you think and act. Let me tell you about a man named Theodore Johnson. You probably have never heard of him. He was a school teacher in the early 1900s, earning a modest income, no special connections, no rich relatives, no silver spoon. But Theodore made a decision in his 20s that would shape his destiny. No matter what he earned, he would invest 20% of it before he spent a single penny on anything else. This was not easy. There were times when he had to live far below his means, when friends invited him out and he declined, when he wore the same suit until the fabric thinned. But his focus was on the long game. Over decades, through the power of compounding and consistent investing, that modest teacher quietly amassed millions. Theodore's story is a lesson in the second great truth of the top 1%. They master the art of delayed gratification. The poor and middle class tend to consume first and invest later if there's anything left. The wealthy invert the order. They invest first, they build assets, and they let those assets fund their lifestyle. This is why one of the first disciplines you must adopt is what I call the wealth first rule. From this day forward, decide on a fixed percentage of your income that you will direct into wealth-building channels before you do anything else. Treat it like a non-negotiable bill you owe to your future self. It could be 10%, 20%, even 50% as your income grows. The key is that it comes first, and it never stops. But this is only part of the picture. Because money invested without a clear vision can be as easily lost as it is gained. Which brings us to the third secret of the top 1%. Clarity of purpose. Let me take you back to ancient Rome. There was a general named Scipio Africanus, the man who defeated Hannibal. Scipio was known for his unwavering clarity in battle. He would spend days in thought before moving a single unit of his army, and once he made a decision, he committed every resource to that course. He understood that in both war and wealth, indecision is the enemy. The wealthy carry this same principle into their financial lives. They do not drift. They set targets so specific that every action either moves them closer or is discarded as a distraction. I want you to take a pen and write down 3 numbers: your target annual income, your target net worth, and your target passive income, all 5 years from now. Don't guess. Think about the life you want to live, calculate what it would take to sustain it, and write it down. Then, break those numbers down into monthly and weekly targets. The mind thrives on specificity. When you aim at nothing, you hit it every time. Now, let's address a dangerous habit that keeps the 99% trapped: lifestyle creep. This is the silent killer of wealth. Every time income rises, expenses rise to match. The wealthy resist this with discipline. They may reward themselves at milestones, but they always ensure that their asset column grows faster than their expense column. Here's a challenge for you over the next 30 days. Freeze your lifestyle. Whatever your current standard of living is, keep it exactly the same while you direct any extra income toward investments or business growth. Watch how fast your financial position strengthens when you stop pouring your gains into fleeting comforts. And here's where modern neuroscience aligns with this ancient discipline. Studies show that the brain's reward circuitry lights up more from anticipation than from consumption. This means that delaying gratification, holding off on that purchase, building anticipation actually keeps you more motivated and focused. The wealthy harness this by tying their rewards to meaningful achievements, not impulses. Another mental pattern that separates the top 1% is how they handle fear. The average person avoids financial moves that feel risky because they fear loss. But the wealthy reframe risk. They understand that there is a difference between gambling and calculated risk. They study, prepare, and then act decisively when the odds are in their favor. Think of Thomas Edison. He invested not only his money but his life's work into inventing the electric light. He failed thousands of times, but each failure was calculated. He tested variables, learned from each one, and adjusted. The wealthy treat their ventures the same way. They do not fear failure because they see it as tuition for mastery. Here's a practical way to adopt this mindset. Each week, take one small calculated risk in your financial or business life. It could be reaching out to a potential mentor, trying a new marketing strategy, or putting a small amount into an asset class you've researched. Over time, your tolerance for uncertainty will grow, and so will your opportunities. If you're listening to this and feeling that spark in your mind, that shift from seeing money as a struggle to seeing it as a game of skill, then you're exactly where you need to be. Make sure you're subscribed so we can continue building this new operating system together. Each week, we'll go deeper into the disciplines that create not just income, but lasting freedom. In the next part, we're going to break down how the top 1% use leverage, not just financial leverage, but time leverage, skill leverage, and network leverage to create exponential results without burning themselves out. And I'll share with you the story of a man who turned a single idea into a fortune that has lasted for generations, without working more hours than the average person. If there is one word that separates those who create extraordinary wealth from those who live paycheck to paycheck, it is leverage. The wealthy understand that they cannot simply rely on their own two hands to build a fortune. They know their time, energy, and abilities are finite, so they build systems, partnerships, and structures that multiply their efforts far beyond what they could achieve alone. But leverage is not just about money. In fact, the first kind of leverage the wealthy master is time leverage. Every one of us has the same 24 hours in a day. The difference lies in how those hours are multiplied. The wealthy ask, how can I achieve more without directly doing more? They delegate, they automate, and they eliminate anything that does not contribute to their highest priorities. Consider the story of J. Paul Getty. At one point, he was the richest man in America. Getty famously said, "I would rather have 1% of the efforts of 100 people than 100% of my own efforts." He built empires by structuring deals and partnerships so that hundreds of people contributed to the value creation, while he focused on strategy and growth. In your own life, ask yourself, what am I doing today that someone else could do just as well, or better, for a reasonable cost? Every hour you free from tasks that do not require your unique genius is an hour you can reinvest into higher value activities, whether that's growing your business, expanding your investments, or deepening your skills. The second form of leverage is skill leverage. The wealthy invest heavily in acquiring skills that produce outsized returns. Warren Buffett once said, "The best investment you can make is in yourself." This is not a cliche, it's a literal strategy. When you acquire a high-value skill, whether it's sales, negotiation, leadership, coding, copywriting, or investing, that skill continues to produce returns for the rest of your life. The more specialized and rare the skill, the greater the leverage it provides. The third is network leverage. Your network is not just a list of contacts, it is an ecosystem of opportunity. The wealthy cultivate relationships not merely for socializing, but for mutual growth. They understand the principle that your income will often mirror the average income of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Here's a simple but powerful exercise. Every 90 days, make a list of the 5 people you interact with most. Ask yourself if they are pulling you forward toward your vision or holding you in place. Then, Make a conscious effort to spend more time with those who challenge and inspire you. Let's talk about financial leverage. This is where the wealthy amplify their returns by using other people's money, resources, or platforms. But here's the critical distinction. They use leverage to acquire assets, not liabilities. They take on debt to buy real estate that produces income, to acquire businesses, to invest in scalable ventures, not to fund temporary pleasures. Take the example of Sam Walton, founder of Walmart. Walton did not build his retail empire by using only his own savings. He leveraged bank loans, supplier credit, and reinvested profits to expand faster than his competitors. Each store became an asset that produced cash flow, which funded more stores, creating a compounding effect. Leverage, however, is a double-edged sword. It magnifies both gains and losses. This is why the wealthy pair leverage with the discipline of risk management. They never bet the farm on one opportunity. They diversify, they keep reserves, and they enter positions they understand deeply. I want you to write down right now 3 areas where you can apply more leverage in your life over the next 6 months. 1 in time, 1 in skill, and 1 in finance. Be specific. Identify the exact action that will create the multiplier effect. Now, let's tie this back to mindset. The average person is trapped in a linear mindset. More work equals more income. The wealthy operate from an exponential mindset. Better systems, better decisions, and better positioning create geometric growth. In the next part, we will explore something even deeper, the psychological blueprint that drives wealthy decision-making. You will see how they process opportunities, how they filter information, and how they train themselves to see what others miss. And we will uncover the story of a historical figure who built an unshakable fortune by making a single strategic decision at a time when everyone else thought he was insane. The difference between the way the top 1% and the rest of the world make decisions can be summed up in one word: frameworks. The wealthy do not approach opportunities with blind optimism or paralyzing fear. They approach them with mental models, tested ways of thinking that filter out noise and reveal signal. Let's step back in time to the 1800s. Nathan Mayer Rothschild, a member of the powerful Rothschild banking family, was in London when news of the Battle of Waterloo broke. Information traveled slowly in those days, but Rothschild's network of couriers brought him the news before the British government had officially announced the outcome. Instead of rushing to buy or sell in a panic, he calmly assessed the situation through his framework. Knowledge is power when paired with discipline. He quietly made moves in the stock market that allowed him to profit enormously when the official news reached the public. The key here is not insider information alone. It is the ability to filter, stay calm, and act strategically when others are emotional. This leads us to the first principle of wealthy decision-making. They decide based on data, not drama. While the masses are swayed by headlines, gossip, and the latest social media frenzy, the wealthy rely on verifiable facts, trusted sources, and independent thinking. The second principle is asymmetric risk. This means seeking opportunities where the potential upside greatly outweighs the downside. Jeff Bezos famously used this thinking when deciding to start Amazon. He asked himself what the worst-case scenario was. If the business failed, he could always return to a job. But the best-case scenario was building something revolutionary. The risk-to-reward ratio was overwhelmingly in his favor. You can apply this starting today. When faced with a decision, write down the worst-case outcome, the most likely outcome, and the best-case outcome. If the best case is significantly greater than the worst case, and the worst case is survivable, you move forward. The third principle is opportunity cost. The wealthy understand that saying yes to one thing means saying no to something else. They guard their time and attention fiercely. If an opportunity does not move them closer to their vision faster than the alternatives, they pass. This is why they seem to say no more often than yes. One of the simplest yet most powerful filters you can use comes from Warren Buffett. I say no to almost everything. This is not cynicism, it is focus. The wealthy know that diffused effort produces diffused results. Let's add a mental discipline here, something you can practice daily. Before making any financial move, pause and ask, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? This will sharpen your clarity and protect you from impulsive commitments. The wealthy also think in terms of second-order consequences, while the average person stops at, what will happen if I do this? The wealthy go further. And then what? And then what? They project the ripple effects months or years into the future. This is how they avoid short-term wins that lead to long-term losses. History gives us a perfect example in Cornelius Vanderbilt. When railroads were still a risky investment, many saw only the immediate profits or losses from individual routes. Vanderbilt looked years ahead, seeing the network effects of controlling key lines. His foresight turned him into one of the wealthiest men of his era. Here's your challenge for this week. Before you commit to any major decision, write out at least 3 layers of consequences: immediate, mid-term, and long-term. This alone will put you ahead of 99% of decision makers. Now, there is one more element that the wealthy use that almost no one talks about: identity-based decisions. They ask, does this decision align with the person I am becoming? They understand that every choice is a vote for the type of person they are. When you begin filtering your decisions through your future identity, you eliminate most distractions instantly. We'll go even deeper in the next part, because there's a force even greater than decision-making frameworks: the inner operating system of belief. We will look at how the wealthy build unshakable belief in their vision, even when the evidence around them says it's impossible. And you will learn the exact practices you can use to kill fear, wire in confidence, and act from faith instead of hesitation. If money is the vehicle that takes you to freedom, belief is the engine. Without belief, the most sophisticated strategies stall. The wealthy understand this better than anyone. They know that every dollar they earn, every asset they acquire, every empire they build begins as a thought, a conviction so strong it bends reality toward it. But here's the problem. Most people's beliefs about money are not their own. They are inherited, passed down from parents, absorbed from culture, shaped by media. If you grew up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that, those phrases did more than describe your financial situation. They programmed your subconscious to expect limitation. The top 1% rewrite that script. They consciously choose beliefs that empower them to act boldly. They believe that wealth is created, not given. They believe that their value can always increase through learning and contribution. They believe that opportunities are everywhere, waiting for the prepared mind to see them. Take Henry Ford. Before the Model T, the idea of an affordable car for the masses seemed ridiculous. Ford faced ridicule from experts who said it couldn't be done. But Ford's belief was unshakable. He said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." That belief wasn't just motivational fluff. It guided his decisions, fueled his persistence, and ultimately reshaped an entire industry. Belief is not magic. It is mental conditioning. You can train it just like a muscle. And one of the most powerful training tools is repetition. Neuroscience has proven that repeated thoughts strengthen neural pathways, making them the brain's default. This is why affirmations work, not because the words themselves are mystical, but because they rewire the brain's operating system over time. Here's a practice I want you to adopt immediately: the vision rehearsal. Each morning, spend 5 minutes closing your eyes and vividly imagining your future life as if it already exists. See your bank accounts filled. See your investments paying you every month. See yourself walking into the home you dreamed of, driving the car you once thought was out of reach, traveling without checking price tags. Feel it in your body as if it's happening now. This is not fantasy. It is programming your subconscious to seek and recognize the actions that lead to that reality. But belief alone is not enough. It must be paired with the deliberate killing of fear. Fear is the anchor that holds you in the harbor, while your ship is built for the open sea. The wealthy do not eliminate fear by avoiding it. They eliminate it through exposure and repetition. The first time you make an investment, fear screams in your mind. The 10th time, it barely whispers. One of the greatest examples of this comes from Sir Richard Branson. He has launched hundreds of businesses across industries where he had no prior experience. How? He reframed fear as excitement. Every time fear arose, he saw it as a sign he was stepping into growth. And by repeatedly acting in the presence of fear, he trained his mind to associate risk with opportunity. Here's your weekly challenge. Do one thing that scares you financially. It could be making an investment you've researched, negotiating for a higher price, or asking for a raise. The goal is not the outcome. It's to teach your nervous system that fear is not fatal. I also want you to write down the 3 biggest fears you have about money. For each one, write a possible action that would weaken that fear through direct experience. Then schedule those actions. If you've been listening closely, you've probably already felt a shift in your energy. That's not accidental. When you hear truth, when you hear strategies backed by both history and science, something deep inside you wakes up. Don't let it go back to sleep. Subscribe now so you stay in this space of growth, because the mind will always try to return to the familiar, and the familiar is the enemy of the extraordinary. In the next part, we're going to take this even further. You will learn how to wire not just belief, but identity, how to become the person for whom wealth is inevitable. And I'll tell you the story of a historical figure who transformed from bankrupt failure to financial legend by changing who he believed himself to be. There is a truth so powerful that once you understand it, you will see why some people seem to attract wealth almost effortlessly, while others chase it for a lifetime without ever holding it. The truth is this: you will never consistently act in a way that is inconsistent with your identity, your habits, your decisions, your risk tolerance, your daily routines. They all flow from who you believe you are at the deepest level. This is why the wealthy focus less on chasing money directly and more on becoming the kind of person for whom wealth is the natural byproduct of their way of living. When your identity is rooted in being a builder, an investor, a value creator, you make different decisions automatically. You think long-term by instinct. You seek leverage without forcing it. You protect your assets because that's simply what you do, not because a book told you to. Benjamin Franklin is a perfect example. He was not born into wealth, far from it, but he built an identity as a man of industry, frugality, and constant improvement. He saw himself as someone whose time was valuable, whose mind was sharp, and whose word was gold. That identity shaped every choice he made, from his daily routines to his business ventures, and wealth followed naturally. The good news is that identity is not fixed. You can choose it, build it, and reinforce it until it becomes your default. But it requires conscious effort. The first step is to define the identity you want. This is where most people go wrong. They set income goals without shaping the self-image that would make those goals inevitable. Here's a powerful exercise. Write a paragraph describing your future self as if you already are that person. Not just what you have, but how you think, how you feel, how you handle challenges, how you spend your time. Read that paragraph aloud every morning and every night. Let it sink into your subconscious until it starts feeling more real than your current circumstances. The wealthy also engineer their environments to match their identity. If you want to be an investor, surround yourself with other investors, books on investing, and constant reminders of your goals. If you want to be a high-level entrepreneur, immerse yourself in that world. Events, conversations, even the language you use should align with it. Here's something else the wealthy do that most overlook. They protect their identity from erosion. They know that spending too much time with people who complain, doubt, or settle will pull them back toward mediocrity. This is why they are ruthless about guarding their inner circle. Now let's look at one of the most dramatic identity shifts in history, that of Julius Caesar. Before crossing the Rubicon River, Caesar was a skilled general but politically constrained. When he crossed that river, defying the Roman Senate, he wasn't just making a military move. He was declaring to himself and the world, "I am the ruler of Rome." From that moment, every action he took was aligned with that identity. Within years, he had transformed the Roman Republic forever. Your Rubicon moment in wealth is the day you stop dabbling in the habits of the wealthy and decide, this is who I am now. That decision is powerful because identity-driven behavior is automatic. You won't have to constantly fight yourself to save, invest, or grow. It will simply feel wrong not to. Let's make this practical. Tonight, before you sleep, write down one sentence that begins with, "From this day forward, I am," and finish it with the identity that will carry you to wealth. Place it somewhere you will see it first thing in the morning. This simple act is more than a reminder, it's a daily reset of your internal compass. And remember, this identity shift is not instant. It is forged through repetition, environment, and deliberate action. The wealthy understand that becoming comes before having. They work on themselves as diligently as they work on their businesses. In the next part, we're going to talk about the systems the wealthy build around themselves. Systems that keep them moving forward, even on bad days, even when motivation disappears. And I'll share a story about a man who created a machine for wealth so powerful that his personal discipline became almost irrelevant, because the system worked whether he felt like working or not. If identity is the engine, systems are the vehicle. The wealthy don't rely on motivation, luck, or even sheer willpower to keep progressing. They build robust systems, mental, physical, and environmental, that ensure forward momentum no matter how they feel. Think of it this way. A single action fueled by motivation is like lighting a match, bright but brief. A system is like installing electric wiring in your home, consistent, reliable power every day. Let's revisit the story of Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men of the 19th century. Carnegie did not simply work harder than everyone else. He built systems of delegation, management, and reinvestment that turned his steel empire into a wealth machine. He understood that his personal energy was limited, but a well-constructed system could amplify his impact exponentially. Today, this principle is even more relevant. Your mind is subject to fatigue, your willpower fluctuates, and distractions are everywhere. If you want lasting wealth, you must create systems that don't rely on you being on all the time. One of the most powerful systems the wealthy build is a daily routine that primes them for success. This includes morning rituals that set clarity, journaling to track progress, scheduled learning to upgrade skills, and deliberate time blocks for focused work. Here's a simple framework you can start today. First, wake up at the same time every day. Consistency anchors your rhythm and builds discipline. Second, spend 10 minutes journaling. Write down your top 3 priorities for the day, your biggest wins from yesterday, and any obstacles you foresee. This practice builds awareness and accountability. Third, schedule your day in advance. Block off time for deep work, meetings, exercise, and rest. Treat these blocks like non-negotiable appointments. Fourth, have a weekly review. Set aside 30 minutes each Sunday to review what worked, what didn't, and what your next week's focus will be. Another crucial system is financial automation. The wealthy automate savings, investments, and bill payments so that their money is always working for them. This removes the friction of decision fatigue and emotional spending. Take the story of Tony Robbins, who transformed his personal finances by automating nearly every aspect of his money management. Once the system was in place, he didn't have to worry about missing payments or skipping investments. It all happened seamlessly in the background. To build your own financial automation system, start by setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings and investment accounts right after every paycheck. Then, automate bill payments to avoid penalties and stress. Systems also extend to your mental environment. The wealthy protect their minds from negative influences and cultivate sources of inspiration and education. This might mean limiting time on social media, subscribing to newsletters that enrich your knowledge, or regularly attending mastermind groups. The key to system building is iteration. No system is perfect from the start. You test, measure, and refine continuously. This iterative mindset is why the wealthy rarely fear failure. They see each setback as data to improve the system. Here's your next challenge. Pick one area of your life, health, finances, productivity, or relationships, and design a simple system to improve it. Write it down, commit to it for 30 days, then review and adjust. This practice will train you in the discipline of system thinking, a core mindset of the wealthy. Before we move on, if you're finding value in this journey, take a moment to subscribe and join a community of people committed to transformation. This channel is more than content, it's a movement toward mastery. In the next part, we will dive into resilience, the ability to bounce back from failure, rejection, and setbacks. We'll explore stories of legendary figures who faced ruin and rose stronger, and you'll learn mental exercises to build your own unbreakable spirit. Resilience is not just the ability to survive setbacks, it is the capacity to transform them into fuel for growth. The top 1% understand that failure is inevitable on the path to wealth, but what separates them is their response. They see setbacks as temporary, necessary, and even beneficial. Take the story of Thomas Edison. When inventing the light bulb, he famously failed thousands of times. Yet he never saw these attempts as failures. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His resilience turned persistence into invention, and invention into fortune. But resilience is more than just grit. It is a mindset you can develop and strengthen through deliberate practice. Neuroscience shows that when you experience adversity and consciously choose to reframe it, you create new neural pathways that increase your emotional toughness. One powerful mental exercise is the failure reframe. Each time you encounter a setback, write down 3 lessons it teaches you and 3 actions you will take to move forward. This shifts your brain from victim mode to learner mode. Another key to resilience is building emotional regulation, the ability to manage your feelings without being controlled by them. Meditation, breath work, and journaling are all tools that top performers use to stay centered under pressure. Consider Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison. His resilience was not just physical endurance, but a mastery of his inner world. Through meditation and deep reflection, he maintained clarity and compassion, emerging ready to lead a nation. Your challenge is to cultivate daily practices that build emotional strength. Start with 5 minutes of mindful breathing each morning. When stress rises, use this anchor to ground yourself. Journaling is another powerful resilience tool. Each night, write about moments you handled well, emotions you observed, and areas for growth. Over time, this builds self-awareness, the foundation of mental toughness. The wealthy also build resilience through social support. They surround themselves with mentors, peers, and allies who provide honest feedback, encouragement, and perspective. Don't underestimate the power of community. If you're still here and ready to keep growing, consider subscribing. This channel is designed to support you in building a life that's not only successful, but unshakable. In the next part, we will explore the art and science of strategic thinking, how the wealthy make decisions that multiply their impact and accelerate growth. You'll learn mental frameworks and tools used by history's greatest strategists and how to apply them in your own life. Strategy is the difference between running in circles and charging down a clear path to your destination. The top 1% think in systems, scenarios, and long arcs, not just day-to-day grind. They play the chess game of life, anticipating moves and counter-moves with precision and patience. Look at the great strategist Alexander the Great. By the age of 30, he had conquered one of the largest empires in history. What set him apart was not just his bravery, but his ability to plan decades ahead, to understand his opponent's psychology, and to adapt quickly when plans changed. But strategic thinking is not reserved for generals or CEOs. It's a skill you can cultivate with practice and tools. The core principle is to shift from reactive to proactive, to think ahead instead of just putting out fires. One practical tool is scenario planning. Imagine 3 possible futures: best case, worst case, and most likely case. For each, write down how you would respond. This mental rehearsal prepares you emotionally and mentally, making your decisions faster and less stressful when the moment arrives. Another essential framework is the Eisenhower matrix, categorizing tasks by urgency and importance. The wealthy spend most of their time on important but not urgent activities: planning, relationship building, and personal growth. They delegate or eliminate what's urgent, but not important. Let me share a story from the world of investing. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men alive, is famous for his patience and strategic restraint. He waits for the perfect opportunity, the proverbial fat pitch, rather than chasing every deal. This discipline has multiplied his wealth far beyond what most active traders achieve. A daily habit to cultivate strategic thinking is reflection. Spend 10 minutes at the end of each day asking yourself, what decisions did I make today? Were they aligned with my long-term goals? What can I improve tomorrow? Over time, this sharpens your mental lens. The wealthy also use visualization, imagining obstacles and successes vividly. This mental practice activates the brain's planning centers, making your actions more aligned and confident. Try a daily visualization. See yourself navigating a challenge successfully, feeling the emotions of achievement. To think strategically, you must also embrace flexibility. Plans will change, new information will emerge, and you must be ready to pivot without losing sight of your core vision. This balance of clarity and adaptability is the hallmark of top performers. Here's your challenge. Pick a major goal and map out a strategic plan for the next 6 months. Break it into milestones and think through possible obstacles with contingency plans. Share your plan with someone you trust to create accountability. If you're committed to mastering these principles, subscribing to this channel will keep you connected to fresh insights and a community striving for greatness. In the next part, we'll explore the power of clarity and definite purpose, how the wealthy align every part of their life around a mission that fuels unstoppable momentum. Without clarity, you wander. Without purpose, you drift. The wealthy know exactly who they are, what they want, and why it matters. Their purpose is not just a lofty ideal, it is the compass that guides every decision, every sacrifice, every action. Think of Marie Curie, a pioneer in science who risked everything to explore unknown territories of physics and chemistry. Her purpose to unlock the secrets of radioactivity was so clear and powerful that it drove her through hardship, skepticism, and physical danger. Her clarity created impact and wealth that changed the world. Your purpose is your personal North Star. It must be specific, deeply meaningful, and connected to your values. When your daily actions align with this, success becomes natural and effortless. One practical exercise is to write your personal mission statement. This is not a vague statement, but a declaration of what you stand for and what you will contribute to the world. Reflect on what excites you, what you want to be remembered for, and what legacy you wish to leave. Once you have your mission, break it down into tangible goals that feed it. These goals should be measurable, time-bound, and challenging, yet attainable. The wealthy reverse engineer their big dreams into daily habits and small wins. Let's return to the story of Oprah Winfrey. She grew up in poverty, but had an unwavering purpose: to inspire and uplift others through storytelling. This clarity shaped her career choices, her investments, and her philanthropy. Purpose gave her resilience through setbacks and the courage to take bold risks. To cultivate clarity every day, adopt a morning ritual where you revisit your mission and visualize your impact. Affirmations help rewire your subconscious, such as, "I am aligned with my purpose and act with unstoppable momentum." Journaling is a powerful clarity tool as well. Each evening, write down how your day's actions reflected your purpose and what adjustments you will make tomorrow. This practice keeps your path clear and your mind focused. The wealthy also guard their clarity fiercely. They limit distractions, say no to opportunities that don't align, and surround themselves with people who support their vision. Your challenge is to craft your personal mission statement today and share it with someone who can hold you accountable. Begin tracking daily actions that move you closer to that mission. If you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel for ongoing guidance and a tribe that supports your highest growth. Next, we will explore mental discipline and self-mastery, how the wealthy train their minds like elite athletes, building focus, willpower, and unshakable confidence. Mental discipline is the cornerstone of wealth and achievement. The top 1% don't wait for motivation. They create habits and routines that make success automatic. They develop the ability to focus deeply, resist distractions, and persist through challenges. Look at Benjamin Franklin, who meticulously tracked his virtues daily to improve himself. He created a personal system of accountability that built discipline over time. This self-mastery allowed him to innovate, lead, and accumulate wealth. Science backs this up. Studies on neuroplasticity show that deliberate practice rewires your brain, strengthening circuits for self-control and focus. The more you train mental discipline, the easier it becomes to resist temptation and act with purpose. One powerful tool is time-blocking, scheduling specific periods for focused work with no interruptions. Use a timer, like the Pomodoro technique, working in 25-minute bursts with short breaks. This trains your brain to concentrate intensely and rest effectively. Another tool is mindfulness meditation, which strengthens your ability to observe thoughts without getting lost in them. Just 5 minutes a day can boost focus and reduce stress. To build willpower, create small wins daily. Choose one difficult but achievable task and complete it first thing in the morning. This sets the tone for the day and builds confidence. Consider the story of Maya Angelou, who disciplined herself to write daily, regardless of mood or circumstance. This consistency created masterpieces and a legacy that endures. Affirmations and visualization also play a role. Repeat statements like, "I am focused and persistent," while imagining yourself completing tough tasks. This activates your subconscious to support your conscious goals. Journaling is vital here as well. Track your distractions, identify triggers, and note progress. Reflection builds awareness, the foundation of self-mastery. The wealthy also avoid multitasking, knowing it fragments focus and reduces productivity. Instead, they practice monotasking, dedicating full attention to one task at a time. Your next challenge: pick one distraction you struggle with and create a system to minimize it. For example, turning off phone notifications during work blocks or setting boundaries on social media use. Track your success daily. If this message resonates, subscribing will ensure you keep receiving strategies that fuel your growth and keep your mind sharp. In the upcoming part, we will explore how to cultivate moral strength and inner integrity, the invisible foundations of lasting wealth and respect. Wealth without integrity is fragile. The truly successful understand that moral strength is not just about ethics, but about being aligned with your highest self, values, and purpose. This alignment creates inner peace, trust, and influence, resources that no amount of money can buy. Consider the story of Abraham Lincoln. Despite immense political pressure and personal hardship, he remained committed to his principles of unity, freedom, and justice. His integrity won the respect of a divided nation and cemented his legacy as one of history's greatest leaders. Integrity is like a muscle. It requires consistent training and conscious choice. Neuroscience tells us that our brain's reward systems are wired for immediate gratification, which can tempt us to cut corners. The wealthy train themselves to delay gratification and choose long-term honor over short-term gain. One practical strategy is to create a personal code of conduct, clear, written principles that guide your decisions. Review this code daily and hold yourself accountable when faced with challenges. Journaling can be a powerful tool here. Write about moments you acted in alignment with your values and those when you fell short. Reflect on lessons learned and recommit to your standards. Historical figures like Gandhi embodied moral strength by living their values even in the face of opposition and suffering. His commitment to truth and nonviolence inspired millions and reshaped the world. Another key practice is transparency. The wealthy cultivate trust by being honest and open, even when it's difficult. This builds lasting relationships and reputations that open doors beyond what money alone can achieve. Daily affirmations, such as, "I act with integrity and honor in all areas of my life," help reinforce your commitment at a subconscious level. Your challenge is to write your own code of conduct today. Share it with someone you respect, and ask for their help in holding you accountable. Begin practicing radical honesty in your daily interactions. If you find value in this journey, subscribing to this channel will keep you inspired and equipped to live with strength and purpose. Next, we will explore how to build a lifelong growth framework, a system that keeps you evolving, expanding, and unstoppable, no matter what life throws your way. The top 1% don't see success as a destination, but as a continuous journey. They build systems, habits, and mindsets that guarantee they keep growing, adapting, and thriving throughout life. This lifelong growth framework is the secret weapon that turns momentary wins into enduring abundance. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, a true Renaissance man who never stopped learning. His curiosity spanned art, science, engineering, and anatomy. He cultivated a growth mindset that fueled innovation and mastery across disciplines for decades. The first pillar of this framework is discipline. Without consistent action, even the best plans fail. The wealthy create daily routines that align with their goals, removing friction and decision fatigue. Next is clarity, a regularly updated vision and mission that serve as your compass. As you grow, your goals will evolve, and your framework must reflect that. Weekly and monthly reviews are crucial to staying on track. The third pillar is values. Your decisions, habits, and relationships must consistently reflect what you stand for. This alignment prevents burnout and builds authentic success. Bold action is another cornerstone. Growth requires stepping outside your comfort zone, taking risks, and learning from failures. The top 1% don't wait for perfect conditions. They act decisively and adjust as they go. Resilience, mental discipline, strategic thinking, clarity, and integrity all feed into this framework. They are interconnected gears that keep your engine running. To implement your own framework, start by designing your ideal daily routine. Include time for work, learning, rest, and reflection. Use tools like planners or digital apps to track progress. Incorporate weekly goal-setting sessions where you review accomplishments, adjust plans, and celebrate wins. This practice reinforces momentum and accountability. Engage with mentors or communities that challenge and support your growth. The wealthy know they don't grow alone. Their networks are vital. Visualization and affirmation remain powerful tools. Visualize your evolving self, living your highest potential. Affirm, I am committed to lifelong growth and unstoppable progress. Your challenge: design your personal growth framework starting today. Outline your daily routine, values, and review schedule. Share your plan with someone who will encourage your consistency. If you're ready to make growth a lifelong commitment, subscribing here connects you to the strategies and community that will support your journey every step of the way. In the next and final part, we will summarize everything and ignite a powerful commitment to transformation, turning knowledge into unstoppable action and wealth. You have journeyed through the minds of giants, the timeless wisdom of history's greatest, and the practical strategies that forge success every single day. Now, it's time to seal this knowledge with a commitment so strong it cannot be broken. Remember, building unshakable belief is your foundation. Like Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before lighting the world, you must believe deeply in your vision. Failure is not defeat, but feedback. Your mind must be rewired with power and purpose to move beyond fear and doubt. Kill fear through repetition and vision. Repetition embeds new neural pathways, and vision fuels your passion. See yourself succeeding, living abundantly, and contributing meaningfully. Let that image burn in your mind every morning and every night. Live from faith, not fear. Faith is not blind hope. It is confidence born of preparation and clarity. Decide who you are and what you stand for. Become a person of decision, focus, and identity. Develop personal power and resilience like Nelson Mandela, who endured decades of imprisonment and emerged a beacon of strength and forgiveness. Mental discipline and self-mastery are your tools. Train them daily. Master strategic thinking and wealth-building skills to work smarter, not just harder. Let your vision guide your bold action. Be disciplined in thought, clear in vision, strong in values, and unstoppable in growth. Embody moral strength and inner integrity. This is the secret currency that builds trust, influence, and lasting relationships. Let honesty and honor be your signature. Build a lifelong growth framework that evolves with you, fueling continuous progress and abundant results. This is your pathway to freedom. Free mind, rich soul, abundant life. Now, make your commitment out loud or in writing. I choose to live with purpose, discipline, and integrity. I am unstoppable. I am wealthy in mind, body, and soul. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Join this community of driven individuals who are transforming their lives and building legacies. Share your progress, your breakthroughs, and your challenges. We grow stronger together. Your transformation begins now. Take that first step with boldness. Embrace the mindset of the top 1% and live the life you were born to lead. Thank you for trusting this journey with me. Remember, success is not a destination, it's a way of life. Keep growing, keep pushing, and keep shining. Champions, your mind has been forged a little stronger today, but the real test isn't what you learned, it's what you do with it. Take action, dominate your day, and remember, we're not just building better thoughts, we're forging unstoppable lives. The forge doesn't stop, and neither do you. If this episode hit you where it counts, subscribe to Mental Forge Academy and join the Brotherhood of Champions who refuse to settle for ordinary. Go transform, strike while the mind is hot,